Hi, and welcome to week 6, Reading Old Testament Prophecy. I hope each of you had a wonderful Easter and were able to spend some time with family, friends, and your church communities. Today is Monday. When I'm recording this in Antigua, they have a great tradition that Easter Monday is also a national holiday, with the idea that on Easter Sunday, you spend the day with your church community, and then on Easter Monday, you celebrate the risen Lord by spending time with family and friends. So it's kind of a nice holiday, not in the U.S., but down here in Antigua. And we actually have a national kite flying day where people get together and fly a kite. And the corner of the island is where everyone gets together and they have a big kite festival. So I spent the morning there, but wanted to get back so I could record our introductory video for week 6. With that in mind, let's jump right in. For assignment 6.1, you're applying historical context to prophecy. So exploring the historical context of a passage is essential to understanding the meaning, is essential to understanding the meaning intended by the original author. So I want you to create a 3 to 4 page paper exploring the meaning of Isaiah 9 verses 2 to 7. The paper should include an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. The body of the paper should unpack the historical setting of the prophet Isaiah and the context for the Song of Thanksgiving. The body should also discuss the initial fulfillment of the prophecy in chapter 9, verses 6 and 7, and the ultimate fulfillment in the New Testament. Now, in verses 6 and 7, that's the prophecy, not where it is fulfilled. So what I'm looking for in this paper is to be able to understand any book in the Bible, but in this case, we're looking at prophecy. We need to understand who the author is, when are they writing, and why are they writing. So the way to begin this paper is looking at who is Isaiah, when was he called to be a prophet, and under what circumstance, and why is he giving this prophecy. Then you want to look at, are there any near-term fulfillments of the prophecy? And I'll give you a hint, yes, there is, where we have this prophecy, and Jews would say, we've seen a fulfillment of that prophecy, and it is in blank in Isaiah. I'll give you that other hint. And then we find that there is actually an ultimate fulfillment of that prophecy in Jesus. So I'm looking at near-term prophetic ideas and then longer term, and how does the historical context of Isaiah help us to better understand this passage. The conclusion of the paper should summarize the findings of the paper and offer an application for the modern church. So I'm going to be looking for what kind of research have you done to understand the book of Isaiah and the prophet of Isaiah? What kind of research have you done to better understand this passage? Where is the near-term fulfillment? Where is the ultimate fulfillment? And then how, if you were teaching it, how would you apply it to the modern church? The paper is due on Monday, and we're at that point in the course where I'm really expecting a well-researched, well-thought-out paper that makes a strong argument. So in assignment 6.2, we're looking at types of prophecy, and it's a worksheet. According to Klein, there are several types of prophecy. Complete the attached worksheet listing 10 different types that Klein discusses. Then provide a biblical example for each and explain why the biblical example fits the category. Now, you can go to Klein and write down the 10. That's not so hard. You can probably go in, and I bet you he gives you 1 or 2 examples of each type. The key is going to be taking the time to look at that passage and try to explain in depth why the passage fits the type of prophecy. So I'm going to be grading most on that last column, which is why is this type of prophecy, or why does the passage you picked fit the type of prophecy. Be sure to include a conclusion at the end of the worksheet discussing what you learned and adding some personal reflection. So the passage, or here's an example. After the prophet Hananiah had broken the yoke off the neck of the prophet, Jeremiah, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. Go and tell Hananiah, this is what the Lord says. You have broken a wooden yoke, but in its place you will get a yoke of iron. This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. I will put an iron yoke on the necks of all these nations to make them serve Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and they will serve him. I will even give him control over the wild animals. So this passage includes a prophetic commission. Go tell Hananiah. In addition, the prophecy gives a reason for the disaster. You have, and therefore I have. The disaster is what all nations will be subject to, all nations will be subject to the rule of Babylon. The historic context is a time when Hananiah represented the message of peace being proclaimed by the lying prophets, encouraging resistance to Babylon and false hopes of a quick end to the political crisis, a restoration not only of the temple vessels, but of King Jehoiakim to the throne. So this is what I'm looking for in that last section. I'm wanting to know the historical context, why it fits a disaster type of prophecy, and what is the real historical context leading up to, and why is this important? That's the kind of thing I'm looking for in our last column. Okay, so our last is a discussion post to evaluate modern prophecy. Write a one-page post using biblical support and outside research answering the questions, in your opinion, and this is in your informed opinion, does prophecy still exist today? If not, why not? And if so, how do you determine whether the prophet is truly from God? So many of us were raised in a church tradition that says prophecy ceased with the last apostle. But also many of us in this class were raised and attend a church position that says prophecy is still very vibrant today and can still happen at any time. We're not really trying to take a position in that there's not an orthodox answer to this question, but I want you to think about what is your position, and not just I go to that church and that's what they say. You may start with that, but then think deeper. Why is it that your church thinks one way or the other, and do you agree with their theological support for a position? This is an important and emotional topic, so please engage with differing arguments without condemning positions. Rather, use discussions to dig deeper into each other's positions. So ideally, if some class members believe that or argue that prophecy still exists today and other class members do not, try to engage with someone who has a different opinion than your own and try to dig deeper for where you agree and where you disagree on the idea of prophecy. So last thoughts, give me a call or email me with any questions. I hope you each had a great Easter, and I look forward to week 6 and seeing what you come up with.